Welcome to the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Keith. If you're looking to manifest a life you don't need a vacation from, then you came to the right place. I quit my 9-to-5 job to stay home with my kids while building a thriving business. Now, as a best-selling author, app creator, and 3-times podcaster, I am here to teach you how to do the same. If you want to join my inner tribe, head over to the Manifest It Now app. And now let's dive in to the podcast where I'm going to give you my best manifestation hacks and tips so that you can manifest a life full of abundance, freedom, and fulfillment. Hello, and welcome back to the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Keith. Okay, so I feel like I've been a little absent from social media lately as far as Instagram stories and things like that. But what's funny is the more I'm absent from it, I swear it's the better I do. I had a couple of videos just take off. And I looked at how many email opt-ins I had, how many people came into my world, how many people I've grown in my community in this month so far. The month's not even over. And it's been almost 400. And I have literally done zero work to make that happen. I mean, I have been busy with school. My daughter had homecoming and all that kind of stuff. We have a lot going on, and I've been in full mom mode basically. Yet I am bringing in a lot of new people into my world and getting a lot of sales without really trying or actively promoting anything. And so I want to get into that today because I feel like over this past year, I've learned so much. And I've really fine-tuned my business strategy, my marketing strategy. And I've just had so many realizations that I think I was blocked to for a really long time. And I think most people are blocked with. And the reason I think that is because this year I have gone full force into working with a lot of women who are starting businesses. We had the mastermind, the Millionaires Mastermind, that we opened a few times throughout the entire year. We had our elite group coaching, which was a longer 6-month program. And I just see a lot of patterns and similarities that I think are common with everyone because, again, our society has programmed us to believe these things. And, when you're walking around and just going on autopilot, your subconscious is taking all this stuff in. And so we tend to think we have to do something a certain way or it won't work. And one of the things, I know I've talked about it before on the podcast, and I talk about it in depth in my programs, is this whole idea that hard work equals more income. And that everything has to be done through social media. So you won't have a successful business or reach a certain point or make a full-time income unless you make it big on social media. You get hundreds of thousands of followers and millions of views, and you have to show up every single day. And that's true for a very small number of people, meaning I have worked with people who do have huge followings, myself included. I mean, I don't have a huge following, but I have a pretty decent following that have made very little from social media. There's still a lot of them in their day jobs, and they haven't figured out how to convert that into sales. And then I've seen people that are pretty much non-existent on social media, or maybe they have, a little bit of a following, but they take off in their business and they do really well. And it's because social media is not dependent on being successful or not. Being in front of the camera is not dependent on whether or not you're successful. There's a lot of things that we're being sold in the marketing world that just simply aren't true. And there are a lot of proven methods and strategies that are never really talked about. And I had to figure this stuff out the hard way, because in the beginning I was listening to these things we're told all the time, like you have to grow your social media following, you have to coach and do one-on-ones and blah blah blah, and it's just simply not true. So like I am all about ease in my business and my life. I don't think things have to be hard, and that was a big mindset shift coming from the 9 to 5 corporate sales world, where sales, it was like directly correlated to how hard and how long you worked. How many sales calls you made affected your bonuses. And in this world of an online business, that's just not the case. In fact, most of the people, if you think about people that you really admire that have made it and they're super successful, you don't really see them showing up a whole lot. Typically, it's their team that's on social media for them, that's running their programs. They're not doing a bunch of like one-on-one coaching and showing up live all the time. Some of them might, but most of them are enjoying their lives and they have systems in place so that they don't have to work 24/7. So all of this stuff has been sort of like my fine-tuning this year with my business and getting everything really set up that way so that I can now teach it to other people. And it's funny because it's like every time that I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a break, no new programs or products or anything like that, is when I will get these like constant creative ideas and inspirations coming through. And sure enough, that happened again this time. So I have something in the works. I think everyone's going to like it. You can join the waitlist by going to the link in my show notes. I also have it on my social media. But I don't really want to give too much yet because it's just being formed right now. It's not like fully put together, but it's going to be life-changing. It's going to be one of those things that I feel I am meant to do. Like I feel like I went through all of this so that I could teach it to other people, because at the end of the day, I don't believe that we should have to work to live. I feel like we should be living our lives now. And yeah, there's going to be some work and some action and things like that, of course. But should that be dominating our lives? No. I think we should be enjoying our life with the people we love. We should be present with our children. We should be able to have some freedom. And with the technology that we have available, I don't see why that wouldn't be the case. I really don't. So anyhow, I have something exciting coming. And I hope that you get excited about that, because if you're where I was, where you're stuck in the 9 to 5 and you're having panic attacks, or maybe not even, like maybe you're just fine. I think that fine, comfortable, mediocre is like the worst place to be, because at least if you're miserable, if you're having panic attacks, if you're really stressed, at least you kind of have that motivation to do something else, right? To get out of it. But when you're just fine, when you're just coasting and you're on autopilot, there's no motivation for change. And that is when literally decades will go by in the blink of an eye, because you're in the same routine every single day that your subconscious just kind of takes over. And it's kind of like if you've ever seen that movie Click with Adam Sandler, where he's just fast forwarding through like all the stuff in life that he doesn't want to deal with, like his job and like fights with his wife. And then next thing he knows, he's like waking up and he's an old man and he has a heart attack and he dies. And he's like, oh my gosh, I just missed out on my whole life. Like, what did I do? I feel like that is reality. Like we are on autopilot. We're checked out for so much of the important years in our life, and it goes by in the blink of an eye. So I'm like super passionate about helping as many people as possible get out of that scenario, because I think when we do that, it just like is better for the world, because you get people that kind of wake up, and when you tune in to your passion and your purpose and like those hidden gifts within you, that is when there's innovation. And that is when our world gets better, because you are doing what you're meant to do. And typically, I mean, I think always that helps other people, that benefits the world. And, obviously it benefits the world economically when we come up with new ideas, new services. Like, think about Steve Jobs. If he was just like a normal guy that went and got like an IT job, and then today we wouldn't have, Apple, iPhones, computers, like all the things that we have because of that. And that's just like one example that I could think of off the top of my head. But we have all those things because he did veer off the normal path. And instead of going with some mediocre job, he followed his heart and he took risks and he created something that people all over the world use. Whether you like the guy or think he was horrible, we use his products all the time. I've got it right here. So that's just like one example, but I think that we all have those gifts. We all have things that we're supposed to be sharing with the world, and we suppress that. And we can get into so many reasons why that happens. It's all conditioning. It's a product of our school system and our environment that was created, in a time when they needed workers. They needed factory workers. But we're out of that time now, and we need people to wake up, to get off autopilot, and to start looking at things from a different perspective with a different lens. Like, what is on your heart that fulfills you and lights you up? Whatever that thing is, that's what you're meant to be doing. And that is what is going to help the world in one way or another. So I feel like part of my purpose is to be like an alarm clock and wake people up to that and let everyone know that it's entirely possible. I didn't think it was possible for me, but going through it, I know that it's possible for anyone and everyone if you're willing to believe that there is another way, an easier way, a better way, a way that feels good and aligns you with your purpose. So I wanted to talk about a quote that I heard on TikTok the other day. I'll post it on my page, but it was basically, I don't remember the exact quote. I should have wrote it down, but he was saying that you'll stop worrying about what everybody thinks when you realize that they're not thinking about you at all. And that like really hit me because I'm the type of person where my entire life I was always worried about what people thought. I was a people pleaser. I wanted to make everyone happy. I didn't want anyone to not like me or to think I was weird or to judge me. And I mean, like, I was painfully afraid of that. And I realized, like, I had this realization that while I was staying small and doing things I didn't really want to do just because I was afraid someone might judge me, those people were out living their lives worrying about their own problems and their own, circumstances. They weren't thinking about me. And if someone did judge me or think about me for a split second, they'd be right back to thinking about themselves 5 minutes later. And so we hold back so much of what's on our heart because we're afraid people are going to judge us. But then when we actually do experience that, it's not anywhere near what our mind made it up to be. So that's number one. Like, where in your life are you holding back because you're worried that someone's going to judge you? You're worried that, like, what are people going to think of me? And take a look at that, because I guarantee those people like aren't even thinking about you at all. And if they do judge you or say something, it could be out of concern for you because their mindset is so limited. They're not like seeing the big picture like you are. So take a look at that. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that there are people out there, multiple people out there right now that are doing exactly what you dream of doing. And they're less qualified than you. They have less experience, less knowledge. They're younger, maybe more inexperienced, whatever. And they're out there doing it. And they're screwing it up, and they're doing it messy, and they're making mistakes, but they're doing it. And all of those failures and all of those things that they're messing up are all learning experiences so that they can become better and they can grow and they can keep trying. And so they're out there doing it and they're learning and they're growing and they're experiencing some failures, but they're also experiencing some wins while you're sitting there thinking about it and wishing you could do it. So, like, how does that make you feel that the thing that you're afraid of doing, someone else is doing it not as good as you? Like, that should be motivation that you can do this better. Like, you have more knowledge, more experience, more skills, whatever. But it doesn't matter because you're not doing it. You're not taking the action. You're letting your fears keep you small. And you're going to keep telling yourself, well, I'm waiting for the kids to get a little bit older, or I'm waiting till I have more money saved, or I'm waiting until XYZ, fill in the blank. And as long as you do that, as long as you play that game, you're going to be waiting your whole life. Because as soon as the kids grow up or you have that money, there's going to be another excuse holding you back. The real reason you're not doing it is because you're afraid. And you're letting your fears and limiting beliefs and subconscious keep you in this safe, comfortable, mediocre comfort zone. And until you decide that, hey, I'm just going to go for it and I'm going to screw up, I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to have failures, but I'm going to do it anyways, nothing's going to change until you make that decision. So I know this episode was a little like all over the place, but I just felt like I had to hit record because I feel like there's someone out there that needed to hear this. And I hope that it made a difference. I hope that it's getting you to think. It's getting you to stop and think critically about your life. Like, how long do you want to pause your life for? How long do you want to put up with mediocrity, or with being miserable, or with just being fine, just being okay? How much time has to go on before you truly start living and doing what you really want to do? Time is the one thing we never get more of. It's the one resource that when it runs out, it's gone. And the number one thing that you hear from people on their deathbed is regret. And they're not regretting the things they did do. They're regretting the chances they didn't take, the dreams that they never fulfilled. And so I want you to critically think about that this week. Like, this isn't some, motivational, like, boss babe talk. This is your entire life that is at stake here. And how much time, how much of it has to be wasted on something you don't really want to do until you wake up and realize, I need to take action and I need to stop making excuses. So if that is rubbing you the wrong way, then you needed to hear it. And hopefully it lights a little bit of a fire under you and you just say, you know what? I'm going to go for it, because what do I have to lose? So I have someone that might judge me, so I might fail. Well, how is that any different from my life right now? At least if I fail, I know I tried and I can come right back to my mediocre comfort zone. Why not try? You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I really hope this reached whoever it was supposed to reach. I really felt called to give this message and to just put that out there. And I hope it made a difference. Stay tuned. Get on that wait list. Trust me, like, just get on the wait list. It's in the show notes. It's on my social media. I don't want to give anything away yet until it's more formed, but I know you guys are going to love this, and it's going to be a game changer. I'll just say that. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you back here next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys want more in between these podcast episodes, you can subscribe to my Apple Podcast, Manifested It. You can find that in Apple Podcasts, and it has all of my bonus interviews, guided visualizations, subliminals, meditations, all that good stuff. Or you can download the Manifest It Now app where I put everything, all of my interviews, tools, everything I've used to manifest a life I don't need a vacation from. You can find that wherever you get your apps in Google Play or the Apple App Store, and you can join the Inner Tribe Manifesting community, which is inside the app as well, if you want to up level with a group of women who are there to support you, cheer you on, give you guidance, and up level your vibe. And if you love this episode, the best thing you can do to support the podcast is share it. Share it with a friend, share it on your Instagram. Make sure to tag me at Law of Attraction Tribe so I can share it back on my story as well. I love connecting with you guys and putting a face to all the listeners out there. So come connect with me over on Instagram and let's start a conversation. Have a great week, and I'll see you back here next time.